Gang, let's go! I'm still a hard man. Let's go! We're back. Good morning. Mern. Mern for me. But seriously, good morning. Good morning to everyone out there. Good morning to everyone that tunes in. And not a very good morning to anyone else. Alright? That's how I feel about that. Let's go. Forge, I'm still hard. Let's go. Just let me chill it out to a few places. We're on chapter 13. Chapter bloody 13 of Blood Mirnidian Mirnidian. I actually have part 2 already lined up because there's not a whole lot left. There's seriously not a whole hell of a lot left of part 1. So just give me a second. I thought it was going to like change scenery or something, but apparently not. Apparently it's just going to be a bastard like that and just fucking show you the fucking rocks and shit. Like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck, dude? Alright, they got a gaming one. There's gaming. But yeah, hope everyone's having a good morning. Good morning to you all. Alright, and to the right-wing extremists on Telegram. Hardcore. Hardcore, cause I'm a hard man. Alright. Let's go cue this up. Hello. Good morning, LARPer. Good morning. How are you doing? I didn't know what the hell that noise was. It's so loud. It's just rain. It's thunder. Interesting. How are you doing, LARPer? Zoom in. There's Irish and Nigel West Dickens. I really don't want to fuck with, and there's the Grave Robber. They're both pretty far away. You know how I am. I do know how you are. So, alright. We're gonna go talk to fucking the Grave Robber. Shaggy looking guy, I guess. How are you? I'm alright. I just got off work. I'm off. So, I'm just unwinding. Gonna listen to a little Blood Mirnidian. We're actually gonna finish part 1. It's got like 12 minutes left on this part. Don't know how long I'll go. Probably won't go that long. Probably normal stream, you know. Let's go see Seth. At Coots Chapel. We're at Coots Chapel. At Gentle Drive.
Seth.
Hey, John. Hey, partner.
Get what you need? Ready to help me?
Not quite. Not quite ready. You see, I wasted a bunch of time looking for that last bit of map. And I got to thinking, Moses was a liar. And I imagined myself doing all kinds of unpleasant things to his corpse. And then I realized...
Shaggy?
You realized you were sick in the head? That you needed to move on with your own limited time on Earth?
No, partner. I realized Moses weren't no liar. The issue was Aiden O'Leary, who said he had the body. Aiden died in that flu epidemic, and the bodies weren't even buried yet.
Got the body sitting in the back of that wagon behind you?
Yes, sir.
You're not even gonna wait until they're buried before you...
Well, they don't care, do you, boys? Honest folk off to a better place. Apart from that Aiden O'Leary fella, I never liked him. They say he laid with
It's your bestie Deadly. Thought Deadly was like fatter.
I don't like women, partner.
What the? Gay!
I don't. Not since Mammy died.
Seth, what are you gonna do with those bodies?
Don't ask.
I'm gonna take him back to a nice quiet spot and look for the map. I needs the map, partner.
But he bangs corpse.
Come on!
Shaggy apparently does too.
Exactly the best idea.
Get on the wagon.
All right. I know a secluded spot where we can search these sleeping beauties.
Okay. You fucking weirdo. Gotta turn my Bluetooth off. Alright, so we're at chapter 13.
Don't stop, for Christ's sakes!
Chapter 13.
Whoa.
Keep to the left! We don't want to roll through town with these bodies! Where are you? Come on, don't be shy!
What did you say?
I didn't say nothing!
Are you talking to them?
So what if I am? I feel less alone with them than in a crowd of people. The way I see it, they lost their soul, just like me.
You're truly a sick man, Seth.
You
An
remind me
inquest
why I
concerning
hate people.
Keith.
For a man who kills so much, you sure seem to have a problem with the dead.
I wish I'd shut the fuck up
talking.
talking. Trying to
They
listen
ain't
to
so
this
different from
fucking
you and
book
me.
for a week.
Aside from them being dead and rotting, I guess they ain't. All right, Seth. Calm down. You talk to the corpses and I'll drive the wagon.
They're coming after us! Get us out of here! Fast as you can, partner! I'll search these bodies as we go! Come on, let's get this wagon moving!
Oh, what the fuck? Die you drink. It is a die you drink, so I'll drink to that.
Can't you see where it is, right? Oh my! It's them damn treasure hunters!
A desperate
Run,
encounter.
partner!
Into the mountains.
Back here!
What the fuck, though?
Yes. Mounted lancers. A skirmish. Pursuing the survivors. The plains of Chihuahua.
Yeah,
Slaughter the
shotgun.
soldiers.
They're coming after us!
America.
Get us out of here!
Chihuahua. West.
Give them up, you thieving bastard! Fast as you can, partner!
Progress was swelled by the rivals. My boys on each flag. And they
What the hell?
enemy deputation that took charge of the captured horses and mules and hazed them on through the narrow streets toward the border.
Let's go! Where's them horses?
The tattered campaigners surged on, some now holding aloft the house
There,
that
there, my
upon them,
friend. I won't hurt
waving
you.
to the ladies clustered on the balconies their putrid cigarettes, and elevating the bobbing heads with those strange, half-lidded looks upon them, which the features had dried.
Thank you, my friend.
So hemmed about now by the citizenry that they seemed the vanguard of some ragged empires. And hemmed
Son of a
by a
bitch.
one witless, both barefoot, and by a trumpeter who marched with one arm raised above his head in a martial gesture and playing the while. In this manner they passed through the standing portals of the governor's palace, the worn stone sills, and into the courtyard. The mercenaries and shoeless horses subsided
Get them
upon the
damn treasure
frontiers
hunters!
with curious
Try that running, partner! I'm gonna look for the map back here! You try to shake those damn
passed
rednecks!
about as the dried scalps were pounded.
Where's my map? I'm on.
Soldiers with muskets kept
Well,
back
look
the
there.
crowds,
Come on,
and young
listen.
girls watched the Americans with huge black eyes, and boys crept forth to touch the grisly trophies. There were
All done with this one.
28 scalps and 8 heads, and the governor's lieutenant and his retinue came down into the courtyard to admire their
Oh
work.
shit.
They were promised full payment in gold at the dinner to be held in their honor that evening at the Riddle and Stevens Hotel.
No need for
With
money
this,
where
they
you're going,
had set
friend.
up a cheer and mounted their horses again. Old women and
Sorry, there ain't
also
time for a burial,
ran forth
partner.
to kiss the hems of their reeking shirts
Oh, my, oh,
and
my.
open up their dark little hands and press it. Those mute, dirty corner mouths and pushed them.
Gotta go faster, partner!
Oh, come on, go, fucker.
And they descended one by one, each more pale than before, and all
Damnation!
branded and
Go
sutured.
left here, partner!
Great puckered scars, inaugurated God knows where by what barbarous surgeons across chests. And
The
abdomens,
wagon is wrecked.
like
You
the
never
trunks
said
of
to keep the
gigantic
wagon together,
elephants.
you
Some
bastard.
deformed, fingers missing, eyes, their foreheads, arms, stamped with letters and numbers, as if they were articles requiring inventory. Citizens of both sexes withdrew along the river and watched the water turn into a thin pool of blood and filth, and none could take their eyes from the judge, who in this room, last of all,
These bodies as we
now
go!
walked the perimeter
them
of
horses,
baths
damn it.
with cigars mouth, and the regal air, testing the waters with one toe, surprisingly mental.
Oh, look here! I found me a
He
few
shone like the moon, so pale he was, and not a head to be seen anywhere on
point
that
weighing down
vast
the wagon
canvas.
now, is there?
Not in any crevice, nor in the great pores of his nose, and not upon his chest.
If you had to
or his
get their
ears,
wagon,
or any
obviously you need
his
the wagon.
eyes.
Just going on a little trip.
The immense gleaming dome of his
This
naked
fella
skull
had a few bucks
looked
on.
like a cap for bait, pulled down to the otherwise darkened skin
So,
of his face.
I guess this is goodbye.
As their great boat lowered itself into the bath, the water's was perceptible.
Oh, you
He had submerged himself to the eyes. He looked about with considerable pleasure. The eyes slightly wrinkled, as if he were smiling into the water like some pale, bloated manatee surfaced in
all
a
be
pond.
over soon.
Quite a description. Pale and bloated manatee.
Bullshit. Better than a poke in the eye.
Just above the water.
Head left at this turn.
And how merchants had spread their wares all along the playtime.
You're stiff.
Suits of European
Relax. I just want a
shirts
little
of colored silks, close pants, fine Spanish leather boots, silver writing clocks,
got
silver
the mad
mounted
mister.
sandals,
I got it. I got it.
made out of diamonds, and a Antonio's sword.
Oh my god.
Oh my. Oh my. Is this the quickest
And farmers were setting up
you
chairs to
go any
receive
faster?
finding
Looks
the
like
names
the
of
trenches and
celebrated
tumbleweeds.
patrons.
That's where I was headed. It's bait. Keep
All
going.
these
We're almost
entrepreneurs
there.
assuring the company
See,
of
we're
the
one
most
big
generous
happy
Meeting.
family.
Well, I'm
Like
dead.
folks the square higher than their new haberdashery. Some with coat sleeves barely past their elbows.
Looks like the trenches and tumbleweeds.
The scalps
That's
were
where I
being
was
strung
headed.
about the
It's
iron
bait.
fretwork
Keep
of the
going.
gazebo
We're
like
almost there.
decorations for some barbaric celebration. The severed heads had been raised on poles in old lamps ends, where they now contemplated the cave and pagan eyes, the dried heads of their kids and forebears, strung across the stone facade, hanging lightly on the bed. Later, the lamps were lit,
Come on.
the heads in the soft glare of the uplight assumed the look of tragic masks, and within a few days they would become mottled white and altogether venomous, the copies of the murder most important. This Trias was governor, had been sent abroad as a young man for his education, and was widely read in the classes, and was a student of languages. He was also a man among men. The warriors he hired for the protection of the state seemed to belong something. The lieutenant invited landlords.
Shut up, Seth, you fucking weirdo.
That he and his men did not keep a separate mess. Having yielded the point with a smile, and Trias and opposite. They arrived in good, shaved and shorn, and turned out their boots and finery. The Delawares were strangely austere and menacing in their mourning coats.
Looks like the treasure's
All
in
together
tumbleweed.
about the
That's
table
where I was
sat
headed. It's fate. Keep going.
cigar
We're almost there.
and glasses of sherry poured. The governor standing at the head of the table made them welcome and issued orders to his chief. And every need be seen to. Soldiers attended them, fetching extra glasses. Lighting cigars from a wick in a silver holder designed for just that purpose. The judge arrived last fall, dressed in a well-cut suit about each level, made for him at very end. Full rolls of cloth exhausted, and squads of tables as well, and ventilation. His very cased in nicely polished gray kid boots. And it is
Look at that.
that have been spliced together from two such massacres, by such painstaking work, the joinery considers the show.
Thanks, mister.
Trias had already.
I reckon I'll sit here a while trying to figure this out. I'm gonna be rich.
When you're done with that, get over to Fort Mercer. I need you inside that place.
After I find my treasure, mister.
Got $17 for that. Fuck Seth. Let's go do this fucking shit, I guess.
Already taken his seat when the judge made his appearance. But no sooner had the governor seen him than he rose again, and they shook hands cordially, and the governor had him seated at his right. They at once fell into conversation in a tongue none other in that room spoke at all, saving for random vile epithets drifted down from the north. The ex-priest was sat opposite the kid, and he raised his brows and motioned toward the head of the table with a slant of his eyes. The kid, in the first starched collar he'd ever owned, and the first cravat, sat mute as a tailor's dummy at that point. By now the table was fully commenced, and its attendant brought up dishes, fish and fowl, beef and wild meats of the countryside, and roast shote on a platter, and casseroles of savories and trifles and glacés, and bottles of wine and brandy from the vineyards at Elkness. Patriotic toasts were drunk, the governor's aides raising their glasses to Washington and Franklin, and the Americans responding with yet more of their own country's heroes, ignorant alike of diplomacy and any name at all from the pantheon of their sister republic. They fell to, and they continued to eat until they had exhausted first the banquet and then the larder of the hotel altogether. Couriers were sent abroad through the city to fetch more, only to have this also vanish, and more sent for, until Riddle's cook barricaded the door with his body, and the soldiers and attendants were busily dumping great trays of pastries, fried meat skins, and rounds of cheese, whatever they could find, upon the table. glass and risen to speak in his well-phrased English. But the bloated and belching mercenaries were leering about and were calling for more drink, and some had not ceased to scream out toasts, now degenerated into obscene pledges to the horrors of various southern cities. The grocer was introduced, cheers, catcalls, hoisted numbers. He took charge of the long canvas bag stamped with the state cartouche, and cutting the governor short, he rose and dumped the gold on the table among the bumbles and grinds and spilled drink, and in a brisk drumhead disbursement divided out the pile of gold with the blade of his knife, so that each man was paid his spoken share and no further ceremony to it. A sort of skiffle band had struck up a lugubrious air at one corner.
Lugubrious.
First up was the judge, who ushered the players and their instruments into the adjoining ballroom, where a number of ladies who had been sent for sat already about the walls on benches and fanned themselves without appearing alarmed. The Americans debouched into dancing by ones and twos and by groups. Chairs pushed back, chairs pushed over, too high they fell. Wall lamps and their tin reflectors had been lit all about the room. The celebrants foregathered there cast
Oh, damn train away.
The scalp hunters stood grinning at the dames, churlish looking in their shrunken clothes, sucking their teeth, armed with knives and pistols and mad about the eyes.
We've got a fair jury.
The judge was in close conference with the band, and soon a quadrille was struck up. A great lurching and stomping ensued, while the judge, squired first one and then another of the ladies through the steps with an easy niceness. By midnight, the governor had excused himself, and members of the band had begun to slip away. A blind street harpist stood terrified upon the banquet table among the bones and platters, and a horde of lurid-looking whores had infiltrated the dance.
Some whores. Alright, I gotta get part 2 up 1 second. Don't worry, it picks up exactly where the whores left off. Books.
And a horde of lurid-looking whores had infiltrated the dance.
There we go.
Pistol fire soon became general, and Mr. Riddle, who was acting American consul in the city, descended to remonstrate with the revelers and was warned away. Fights broke out. Furniture was disassembled, men waving chair legs and candle stands.
I'm sure there's about to be a fucking fight over this fucking bastard.
Mr. Marston, sir. John Marston. Mr. Marston, don't be so childish. Come on, sir, I implore you. Okay, so I made a few innocent mistakes when last we met. But my plan is still sound. Together we can conquer, if not the world, then certainly Bill Williamson.
But first, you need me to do you a favor?
You read my mind. I can only deduce you have been taking my tonic, sir, as instructed. It can give the most ordinary of intelligences a remarkable insight.
I'll give you insight. I'll show you what your guts look like.
Please, sir, this show of petulance is nothing short of embarrassing. Think for a moment, sir. Think.
Incite these nuts.
How much of my time you're wasting.
Sir, I am about to do something which I greatly discourage in all wise and rational men. A selfless act for you. But, sir, before I act selflessly, allow me to act selfishly and sell some of my wares.
Fair enough.
Oh, good sir. Come, and let's go visit some of our
good sir.
and the other oil business we have here in Plainview. These men need all the help they can get.
Big. Good morning, good sir. Good morning, SO Archivism. From chapter 13 of Blood
Ladies and
Mirnidian.
gentlemen, gather round. My friends, are you ready to change your lives forever? I have something truly extraordinary to show you today. Friends, hardworking souls of Plainview, do you suffer from
Nigga
rheumatism,
doesn't even know where he
lumbago,
is.
acute
Lumbago's
chronic
in the next
sciatic,
one.
neurologic, or inflammatory
Or the
pain?
prequel,
Well,
whatever.
I represent the only company that makes the
Uncle
genuine
has
article
lumbago.
which cures headache, neuralgia, toothache, earache, backache,
Fraud!
swelling.
This man is a fucking charlatan. He just got done swindling us down at
Face.
Cold Springs with this song and dance.
I say we tar and feather him right now.
I say we shoot the
I
bastard.
think it's time we take our business elsewhere.
Shoot him!
I apologize if science is not your forte. Good day, one and all. Somebody get that thing back.
Oh, what the fuck?
Bad. I think we should leave Plainview for another day, John. Come on, John.
You control the radars. I'll just shoot your fucking horse, dude. I started RDR2 last week. Let's go. It's like a prequel. It's technically a prequel to this. Drawing and firing a shotgun is no different than throwing horseback. Nigga, you are driving slow as fuck. That nigga took a shotgun blast in the face and kept going. He's still going! What? What? Motherfucker took a shotgun blast in the chest, point blank range. He's good.
Two whores grabbed
Okay, so we're in a saloon with some whores. There's a big celebration going on.
and pitched into a sideboard and went to the floor in a crash of brandy glasses. Jackson, pistols drawn, lurched into the street, vowing to shoot the ass off Jesus Christ.
What the blast?
At dawn, the shapes of insensate topers lay snoring about the floor. Asses in drying blood. And the harpist lay asleep upon the banquet table in one another's arms. A family of thieves were tiptoeing through the wreckage, turning out the pockets of the sleepers, and the remains of a bonfire that had consumed themselves furnishings in the street.
Respect science.
These scenes and scenes
Respect science. Respect these nuts, bitch!
the citizenry made address to the count. He was much like the sorcerer's medicine, with a need to evoke the emperor in his will. How they make this as it become more delicate, the attendants stripped off. The great stone fountain in the plaza was filled at night with naked and drunken men. Cantinas were evacuated as if by fire, the appearance of any tomb.
Bastard.
And the Americans found themselves in ghost cabins, drinks on the tables and cigars still hung under the clay industry. Forces were written in, rumors and out. As the gold began to dwindle away, shopkeepers found themselves presenting debits, butchery, a foreign language, or old shelves of goods. Stores began to close. Charcoal smoke was appeared on the line
Looks like the global expansion of the West might have come across.
The evening streets streamed, and there were no assailants. The young girls of the city were more welcome in the city. On the 15th of August, they moved out.
Oh!
A week later, the drovers reported them investing the town of Koyame, 80 miles to the northeast.
Yame.
The village of Koyame for some years been laid under annual contribution by Gomez band. When and his men moved in, they were fallen upon as
For
saints.
abandoned people,
Women ran alongside the horses to touch their boots, and presents of every kind were pressed upon them until each man bowls, melons and pastries and trussed chickens gathered in the bow of the saddle.
You need to think about a change of career.
They rode out. 3 days later, the streets stood empty. Not even a dog followed the beats. They traveled northeast as far as the town of Racine, Texas. They crossed the horses.
Well, I ain't surprised. That
Streets.
tonic I drank at
The
Ridgewood
soil
went
where
through me like
Glanton
a
was
dose
subject
of
to
salt.
arrest. He rode out alone in the desert, sat the horse, and he and the horse and the dog looked out across the wild scrub, the barren Capricorn hills, and the mountains, and the flat brush country, running plain beyond, were formed most to the east, with a wife and child who would not see again. His shadow grew long before the abandoned wash of sand.
Hard.
He would not follow. He had taken off his hat for the evening wind to cool him, and at length he put it on again. The horse moved back. They wandered the borderland for weeks, seeking some sign to be patched. Deployed upon that plain, they moved in a constant illusion. Ordained agents of the actual, dividing up the world.
Agents of the act.
What it meant, what could never be, a light extinguished on the earth. Spectre horsemen, pale with dust.
Spectre horsemen.
Above all else, they appeared wholly adventure, tiny, vision, devoid, like beings provoked out of the absolute wrong, and set nameless and at no remove from their own things. The wanderer rabbits and doomed and heedless organs, shambling the brutal beasts of
What are we listening to? We're listening to Blood Meridian. Son of a bitch.
They killed
Blood Meridian.
They took what they required by way of
Chapter
commissary
13.
of the pueblos and estancias through which they passed.
Let's go to
One evening, almost within sight of the town of El Paso, they looked off toward the north where the Helenos wintered. They knew they would not be going there. They camped.
It was a book from 1985 or the 80s, and the guy that wrote this book wrote No Country for Old Men, which is what I'm listening to. I'm not listening to it right now, but I am listening to it because I've never read it. But yeah, this dude wrote No Country for Old Men.
Saving your life. When are you gonna
That
help
night,
me?
the Waco tanks, of natural stone cisterns in the desert. So every sheltered place was covered with ancient paintings. And the judge was soon among them, copying out those certain ones in his book to take away with him. They were of men and animals, and of the chase. There were curious birds and arcane
I saw that movie. It was great.
instructions of
Well, that guy wrote this book.
I need to get out of here.
and the things that are in it. Of these etchings, some bright yet with color, there were others. And yet,
And it's like a Western themed book, ESO, so
How many more of your happy
I've been playing it in between Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. So whenever I stream those, I just stream this book.
the judge went among them with assurance, tracing out the very ones which he required. When he had done, and while there yet was light, he returned to a certain stone ledge and sat on it, and studied
Stop
again.
moving, you bastard.
Then he rose,
That's not what you
piece
get
of
promised.
broken shirt he scampered away one of his hands, leaving no trace of it, only a raw place on the stone where it lay. Then he put his book, returned again. In the morning they rode out to the south. Little was said, nor were they quarrelsome among themselves. In 3 days they would fall upon a band of peaceful
Sure
teachers
ain't very
camped
popular.
and
I am
slaughtered
up against the
and
weight
whistled.
of plebeian ignorance, my boy.
On the eve of that day, they crouched about the fire where it hissed and softly falling rain, and they ran balls and dances, as if the fate of the Aborigines had been cast into shape by some other agency altogether, as if such destinies were prefigured in the very rock for those with eyes to read.
Aboriginal rock people?
Defense. Vine and the kid conferred together. When they rode out at noon, the day following, they trotted their
Dear boy.
They rode in silence.
It always impresses me with the speed with which a group of men can turn from passive sheep into murderous wolves.
I'm impressed with how you nearly got us killed back there.
Yes, perhaps we should shelve the tonics business for a period.
Let's say we try our hand at racing again. There's a
Fuck.
Rathskeller.
You're trying.
You
My
unlock a
patience, Mr.
outside
West
there,
Dickens.
pal.
Well, I'm sorry, dear boy, but I'm only an aging vendor of exotic elixirs, not the bloody U.S. cavalry. And forgive me if matters take some time to prepare.
We got $4. Fuck that. I'm not doing some fucking race for you, dude. But it's like, fuck. It's like I pretty much have to. Because there's no other fucking wagon around here. He's all the way the fuck down here. I'm all the way over here. It's tough. It's real tough. Go see what this stranger is.
Them sons of bitches ain't bothering nobody, Old Vine said. The Van Diemen Lander looked at him. He looked at the livid letters tattooed on his forehead, and at the lank, greasy hair that hung from his earless skull. He looked at the necklace of gold teeth at his chest. They rode on. They approached those wretched pavilions in the long light of the day's failing, coming up from downwind along the south bank of the river where they could smell the wood smoke of the cook fires. When the first dogs barked, Glenn hauled his horse forward, and they came out of the trees across the dry scrub, with the long necks of the horses leaning out of the dust, avid as hounds, and the riders courting them on into the sun, where the shapes of the women rising up from their tasks stood flat and rigid in silhouette for a moment before they could quite believe in the reality of that dusty pandemoniac pounding down upon them. They
Pandemoniac.
stood dumb, barefoot, clad in the unbleached cotton of the country. They clutched cooking ladles, naked children. At the first fire, a dozen of them crumpled and fell. The others had begun to run, old people flinging up their hands, children tottering and blinking at the pistol fire. A few young men ran out with drawn bows and were shot down. And then the riders were all through the village, trampling down the grass wickiups and bludgeoning the shrieking householders. Long past dark that night, the moon was already up. A party of women that had been upriver tying fish returned to the village and wandered howling through the ruins. A few fires still smoked on the ground, and dogs slank off from among the corpses. An old woman knelt at the blackened stones before the door and poked a brush into the coals, blew back a flame from the ashes, and began to right the overturned pots. All around her the dead lay, with their peeled skulls like polyps bluely wet, or luminescent melons cooling on some mason of the moon. In the days to come, the frail black rebuses of blood in those sands would crack and break and drift away, so that in the circuit of few suns, all trace of the destruction of these people would be erased.
Oh, they attacked that Indian village.
And it would be nothing, nor ghost nor scribe, to tell any pilgrim in his passing who it was the people that lived in this place, and in this place died. The Americans entered the town by sun, late in the afternoon of the second day following. Their horses festooned with the reeking scalps of the teamers.
Dude, what is the fucking noise? Like it's... What the fuck?
Indians collapsing back into the earth, which had been raised, and the inhabitants seemed themselves made vacant by old terrors. They watched the passing of that blood-stained argosy through their streets with dark and solemn eyes. Those riders seemed journeyed from a legendary world, They left behind a strange tincture, like an afterimage on the eye, and the air they disturbed was altered and electric. They passed along the ruinous walls of the cemetery, where the dead were trestled up in niches, and the grounds strewn with bones and skulls
You
and
enjoying
broken
yourself
pots,
down there?
like some more ancient mortuary. Ragged folk appeared in the dusty streets behind them and stood looking after.
Let's go.
That night they camped at a warm spring atop a hill amid old traces of Spanish masonry. They stripped and descended like acolytes into the water, while huge white beaches withered away over the sands. When they rode out in the morning, it was still dark. Lightning stood in ragged chains far to the south, silent. The staccato hums, bespoken blue and barren out of the
You
water.
take it from here.
Day broke
You'll
upon the
get along
smoking
fine
reach of
here,
desert,
son.
darkly
Get going.
clouded.
We
The
all
riders
have
could
problems.
count
We
5
must solve
separate
them together.
storms spaced upon the
Dialogue.
shores of the round earth.
Yeah.
They were riding in
Round
the
Earth.
sand,
The fuck?
and the horses labored so hugely that the men were obliged to dismount and lean. Toiling up steep passages where the wind blew the white pumice from the crests like the spume from sea swells. The sand was scalloped and frailly shaped, and nothing else was there save random polished bones. They were all day among the dunes, and in the evening, coming down from the last low sand hills to the plain below on cannonball, crucifixion thorn, they were a parched and haggard lot, man and beast. Harpy eagles flew up screaming from
Whoa
the dead
there.
rule and wheeled off.
Hello there. Nice to see another sentient being out here. Name's Sam. Sam Odessa. Anyway, that's the name they gave my grandpappy when he came across New York City.
Good to meet you, Sam Odessa. I'm John Marston. You long way from home? Where you come from?
Yeah, well, it would be if I had a home to come from. Been out here for several weeks, or several generations, I guess. Would have made better time, but my horse came up lame a ways back. Trying to get to California. See the ocean.
California?
I hear it's wet.
From the Black Sea to the Pacific in 3 generations. I'm gonna make something of myself there. I'm gonna find something.
Hear they got a fine line of earthquakes out there. Maybe you can find one of them. Listen.
They just had one in New York. It's crazy.
I suggest you head back to Benedict Point before you run afoul one of these gangs that runs out of here.
Didn't know they
Thank you
had
very much
earthquakes
for
in
the
New York.
Kind advice, Mr. Marston. I appreciate it. Maybe I'll go get me on a coach.
You just learned about California. Alright, great. Let's go to Irish. So you can complete a part of this encounter. Some more bullshit will happen.
Westward into the sun as they led the horses out on the plain. A few nights later, bivouacked in a pass in the mountains, they could see the distant lights of the city below. They crouched along a shale ridge in the wall of the gap while the fires soared in the wind. And they watched the lamps winking in the blue floor of the night 30 miles away. The judge crossed before them in the dark. Sparks from the fire ran down the wind. He took his seat among the scrambled plates of shale out there.
Alright,
And
here's
so they
Irish.
sat, like being
Irish is most definitely gonna fuck us over. 'Cause that's what he always does. Fucking Patty.
Come on.
Man is born unto trouble.
me. Where are you? Oh, who do you want? I see you. Get away from me.
Right here. Where's that machine gun, Irish?
Oh, Mr. Marston. I found you one.
Found us one, Irish. We're in this together. You, me, and an assault on Fort Mercer. I'm the guy that saved you from getting killed back there, and who you owe your life to, remember?
Not really.
Irish drunk.
Happens
Yeah,
to me all
yeah.
the time.
You don't want it to happen to you again, do you, Irish?
No, friend. I wants to buy you a drink. I wants to tell you how much you means to me, how special you is.
And I want to tell you that if you don't produce a Gatling gun within the hour, you'll wish you'd been killed back there.
It's the whiskey, sir.
You're dead.
It gives me the memory of a newborn babe, as innocent as can be.
And it makes me violently angry. Shall we go look for that gun, sir?
Based?
Yes. Let's do that. Not a feller to give up easily, are you?
Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get on my horse here. And I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. Maybe half a cigarette.
Whoa!
Unless it makes me fucking leave.
Come on!
I failed the mission because I'm too far away from him. Like, fucking son of a bitch. I knew this shit was gonna happen.
Come on!
He's gonna be talking dumb bullshit.
Either we ride together or we don't ride at all.
Don't you ride these nuts?
You're not gonna pass out on me, are you, Irish?
Me? No, I'm right as rain. Or at least somewhere stuck between fair and meddling.
Well, you're gonna be stuck somewhere between dying and dead if you try to cross me again.
It weren't like that at all, feller. The intentions were pure. I swear it on me poor mother's life. I just gets a tad confused from time to time. Honest mistake.
If there's any more confusion, I'll finish what your friends in Armadillo started.
Jesus, you're an impatient bastard, aren't you?
Where's
Jesus.
the gun, Irish?
I hear some miners been blabbing about a machine gun they found. Apparently, they got it stashed up at Gaptooth Breach. Not far now, Johnny. We should go around the side of Gaptooth so the miners don't see us coming.
I still don't know what miners would want with a machine gun.
Miners are always fighty bastards. Spend too long without daylight and doxies, and it starts playing with your mind.
I never heard so much shit
Doxies?
come out of one mouth.
Only telling you what I heard. Oh,
Doxies?
we'll need a wagon or something
Doxies?
to get it out of there. That gun's heavier than sin.
So how was I supposed to move it by myself last time? Two-faced little bastard.
Giddy up! Here we are. Let's stop here a moment to get a lie of the land. The entrance is plain to see, and there's a shaft them bastards used to haul out heavy ore. I mean you, can use that lift to get you and the gun to the surface. I do it all myself, but the mines play havoc with me sinuses. I'll find us a fine place to hide these horses, and then return with a borrowed flat wagon.
I'll meet you at the mouth of the mine shaft. And Irish, I strongly advise you don't run off this time.
You're trespassing. State your business or move along.
Enter Deadeye and sweep the crosshairs.
Open fire!
Got him. Alright, now what I'm gonna do before I go into this shit is I'm gonna go smoke. So it's coming. I'll be right back. Continue continuing this.
Things from an older age, watching the distant lamps dim out one by one until the city on the plain had shrunk to a small core of light that might have been a burning tree, or some solitary encampment of travelers, or perhaps no ponderable fire at all. As they rode out through the tall wooden gates of the governor's palace, two soldiers who had been standing there counting them past stepped forward and took Toadvine's horse by the headstall. Blanton passed him on the right and rode on. Toadvine stood in the saddle. "Blanton!" The riders clattered into the street. Blanton, just beyond the gates, looked back. The soldiers were speaking to Toadvine in Spanish, and one held an escopeta on him. "I ain't got nobody's teeth," Blanton said. "Shoot these two fools where they stand." Blanton spat. He looked down the street and he looked at Toadvine. Then he dismounted and led his horse back into the courtyard. "Vámonos," he said. He looked up at Toadvine. "Get off your horse." They rode out of town under escort 2 days later. Upward of 100 soldiers herding them along the road, uneasy in their varied dress and arms, wrenching their horses about, and booting them through the ford where the American horses had stopped to drink. In the foothills above the aqueduct, they reined to one side, and the Americans filed past, and wound up through the rocks and nopal, and diminished among the shadows, and were gone. They rode west into the mountains. They passed through small villages, doffing their hats to folk whom they would murder before the month was out. Mud pueblos that lay like plague towns with the crops rotting in the fields, and what stock not driven off by the Indians wandering at will, and none to herd or tended. And many villages almost wholly depopulated of male inhabitants, where the women and children crouched in terror in their hovels, listening until the last hoofclop died in the distance. At the town of Nakari, there was a cantina, and here the company dismounted and crowded through the doorway and took tables. Tobin volunteered to guard the horses. He stood watching up and down the street. No one paid him any mind. These people had seen Americans in plenty, dusty, laggard trains of them, months out of their own country, and half crazed with the enormity of their own presence in that immense and blood-slaked waste.
I'm back.
Commandeering meal and meat,
Just do it something
or
like that.
indulging a latent taste for rape among the slow-eyed girls of that country.
Whoa.
Now, it was something near to an hour past noon, and a number of workers and tradesmen were crossing the street toward the cantina. As they passed Glanton's horse, Glanton's dog rose up, bristling. They veered slightly and went on. At the same moment, a deputation of dogs of the village had started across the plaza, 5, 6 of them, their eyes on Glanton's dog. As they did so, a juggler, leading a funeral, rounded the corner into the street. And taking a rocket from among several under his arm, he held it to the cigarillo in his mouth and tossed it into the plaza, where it exploded. The pack of dogs shied and scrambled back, save for 2 who continued into the street. Among the Mexican horses tethered at the bar before the cantina, several shot out a hind leg, and the rest stepped about nervously. Glanton's dog didn't take his eyes from the men moving toward the door. Now the American horses even raised an ear. The pair of dogs that had crossed in front of the funeral procession veered off of the kicking horses and came on toward the cantina.
So get this fucking gun.
In the street. And now the rest of the procession had swung into view. A fiddler and a cornet player, leading with a quick and lively tune. The dogs were trapped between the funeral and the cannibals and the mercenaries, and they halted, flattened their ears, and began to silently trot. Finally, they bolted across the street behind the pallbearers. These details should have stood the workers entering the cantina in better stead. They had turned, and they stood now with their backs to the door, holding their hats to their chests. Carrying on their shoulders a bier, and the watchers could see in her burial dress among the flowers.
Had to close the
green-looking
fucking
face of a
door.
young woman, just like a
Bastards.
made from rawhide, blacked with lampblack,
You must be
carried
lost,
by
cowboy.
dark-clad porters,
This is private
and looking
property.
much like a rude, hide boat. At the rear advanced a company of mourners, some of the men drinking. The old women in their dusty black shawls helped weeping over the potholes, and children bearing flowers who looked shyly at the spectators in the street as they passed. Within the cantina, the Americans had no more than seated themselves before a muttered insult from a nearby table brought 3 or 4 to their feet. The kid addressed the table in his wretched Spanish and demanded which among those sullen inebriates had spoken. Before any could own it, the first of the funeral rockets exploded in the street as told. The entire company of Americans made for the door. The drunk at the table rose to his feet with a knife and lurched after him. His friends called after him, but he waved them away. John Dorsey and Harrison Smith, 2 boys from Missouri, were first into the street. They were followed by Charlie Brown and the judge.
Charlie Brown.
The judge could see over their heads, and he raised one hand to those below. Beer was just passing. The fiddler and the cornetist were making calls to each other. Their steps suggested the martial style of the air they played. "It's a funeral," said the judge. As he spoke, the
Mirnidian. Mirnidian IDL. Good Mirnidian. Good blood Mirnidian. The kid and the judge and all them have fucking, massacred a whole village of Indians that had no men in it. Like, all the men were gone. Irish is supposed to be getting us this Gatling gun. We helped out the old snake saleswoman. And good Mirnidian. Good Mirnidian. We're on part 2 of Blood Mirnidian. Or, like, this is the part 2. So this is, like, the final, video that I have of Blood Mirnidian.
Sank the blade deep into the back of a man named Grimley. I saw it, but the judge...
Oh, now they're in, like, Mexico or something, and they're, like, in this fucking bar fight or something.
They put a hand on the frame of the door. "Kill," he said. The judge drew his belt pistol and leveled it above the heads of the men and shot the drunk through the middle of the floor. The Americans outside the door, looking down the barrel of the judge's pistol, fired, and most of them dove to the ground. Dorsey rolled clear and got to his feet and collided with the workers who'd been paying their respects in the passing cortege. They were putting their hats on when the judge fired. The dead man fell backward into the cantina, blood spouting from his head.
Partner. I ain't getting
When
fresh.
Grimley turned, they could see the wooden handle of the knife protruding from his bloody shirt. Other knives were already in play. Dorsey was grappling with the Mexicans, and Henderson Smith had drawn his bowie and half-severed a man's arm. The man was standing with the dog and spraying between his fingers where he tried to hold the wound shut.
Arterial
The
blood.
judge got Dorsey to his feet, and they backed toward the cantina with the Mexicans feinting and jabbing at them with their knives. From inside came the uninterrupted sound of gunfire, and the door frame was filling up with smoke. The judge turned to the door and stepped into several corpses sprawling. Inside, the huge pistols were without intermission. The 20 or so Mexicans who'd been in the room were strewn about in every position. Shot to pieces among the overturned chairs and the tables, fresh splinters of blood.
Bruh.
Spots everywhere on the big cutting bullets. The survivors were making for the daylight in the doorway.
Forgive me, friend.
The first of these encountered the judge there and cut at him with his knife. But the judge was like a cat, and he sidestepped the man and seized his arm and broke it. and picked the man up by his head. He put him against the wall and smiled at him, but the man had begun to bleed from the wounds, and the blood was running down between the judge's fingers and over his hands. And when the judge turned him loose, there was something wrong with his head, and he slid to the floor and did not get up.
He crushed his head like fucking Michael Myers.
Those behind him had, meanwhile, met with a great battery of gunfire, and the doorway was jammed with the dead and dying. When there was suddenly a great ringing silence in the room. The judge stood with his back to the wall. The smoke drifted through the fog, and the shrouded figures stood frozen. In the center of the room, Toadvine and the kid were standing back to back with their pistols at point like tourists. The judge stepped to the door and shouted across the staff areas to the ex-priest, where he stood among the horses with his pistol drawn. Ex-priest, they'd not have shot men in public in a town so large, but there was no hope. 3 men were running down the street, and 2 others were legging in across the square. Of other souls abroad, there were none. Tobin stepped from between the horses and leveled the big pistol at the flames and began to fire. The pistol pointed, dropping back, the runners wallowed, pitching headward. He shot the 2 in the closet and swung and shot down the runners in the street. The last one fell in the doorway. And Tobin turned and took the other pistol from his pocket and stepped to the other side of the house and looked up the street and across the square for any sign of there. What have we got here? The judge stepped back from the doorway into the cantina. The Americans stood looking at each other and at their bodies in a sort of wonder. They looked at Glenn. His eyes cut across the smoking room, his hat lying on the table. He stepped over and got it and set it on his head and squared it. He looked about. It's just me and you, the men were reloading the empty chambers in their pistols.
What the fuck?
The string ain't run on this trade yet. When they left the cantina 10 minutes later, the streets were deserted. They had scalped the entire building.
Fucking bastard.
Sliding about in a floor that had been packed clay and was now a wine-colored mud pit. There were 28 Mexicans inside the tavern and 8 more in the street, including the 5 the ex-priest was shot. They mounted up. They sat slumped sideways against the wall. He did not move. He was holding his pistol in his lap and looking off down the street. And they turned and rode out along the north side of the plaza and disappeared. It was 30 minutes before anyone appeared in the street. They spoke in whispers. As they approached the cantina, one of the men from inside appeared in the doorway like a bloody apparition. He had been scalped. The blood was all running down into his eyes.
Oh, nigga lost his head.
His chest. Pink froth breathed in and out. One of the citizens laid a hand on his shoulder. "Reynolds," he said.
I did even fucking...
said the man. The next town they entered was 2 days deeper into the Sierras. They never knew what it was called. A collection of mud huts pitched naked.
Mud huts.
As they rode in, the people ran before them like harried game.
Annoying!
Their few eyes, too. Perhaps the visible frailty of them seemed to incite something random. Brown watched him. He nudged forth his horse and drew his pistol, and the son of Pueblo was forthwith dragged away by weltering shells. Many of the people had been running toward the church, where they knelt clutching the altar. And from this refuge they were dragged away one by one.
Shit.
Passed through the same village 4 days later. The dead was still in the streets, and buzzards The scavengers watched in silence while the company picked their way past, like supernumerary.
Good morning, Tree Master Bob.
The last of them was gone.
There's a lot of scalping going on. Niggas getting scalped and shit over here. But yes, good morning, sir.
They went on through the mountains without resting. They trod a narrow trail through a wood by day and by dark, and in silence, save for the creaking of tack and the breathing of the horses. A thin shoal lay capsized over the jagged peaks. They rode down into a mountain town just before day. There was no land, no watchman. The gray dawn separated. Mr. Paul, the door slammed. An old woman came down the lane, dressed in a mountain style, through the mist, carrying a yoke of
Faggot! The same guy, dude.
It was cold, and their breath plumed above them. They took down the poles in the corral and led the horses out. They rode up the street. Then the animals sidled and stamped in the cold. Blanton had rained up his whistle.
Whoa.
A company of mounted troops passed out from behind the wall at the north end of the village and turned into the street. They wore tall shakos faced with metal plates, corsair blues. They wore green coats trimmed with scarlet sashes. They marked with lances and muskets, and their mounts were nicely caparisoned. When they entered the street, silent.
The sector meets Brian Dunn's return stream.
He holstered the pistol and drew his rifle. The captain
I don't know if the sector needs a whole lot of much anything, bro. To be honest.
The narrow street was filled with rifle smoke, and a dozen of the
Like in the political war of ideas, right? Like the sector is dead because like everything that it was predicated upon is been sold out, and you know it does. You know all the values have been lost that originally it was founded on, right? So it sectors.
soldiers lay dead or dying on the ground. The horses reared and screamed and fell back upon each other.
Like, I saw Kitty Styles, that fucking weirdo Didla sisters, said, that he was leaving the sector. And I'm like, when did fucking Kitty Styles ever, when was this nigga ever in the sector? Never. Kitty Styles was never in the sector that, I mean, you know, that I ever was part of. And he was like, I'm leaving the sector because no one will give me $500 to pay my rent. Like, nigga. Shut the fuck up. And then, like, Shaggy did like a... Shaggy was literally trying to, like, talk sense into this, or not sense, convert this Didla, Sister Didla, into, Mormonism. Kitty Styles just a random DJ. Yeah, he's like this weirdo who started his own religion or something. It's pretty gay. Dude, but like Shaggy was like trying to like get this dude to convert to Mormonism. He was like, if you don't convert to Mormonism, I'll just call you gay. And this dude thinks he's a potato. Something retarded, bro. Just fucking retarded. But Shaggy did do like a whole like hour talking to this dude trying to convert him to Mormonism. It's pretty just like, it's over, dude.
And men were unhorsed and rose up struggling to hold.
That's why I do this. That's why I just play audiobooks and stuff now. I thought Kitty Styles off himself by driving and motor scootering into... It fucking cut off Master Bob. I'll read it in a second. Try to get this Gatling gun out. Wait, actually, I can go check it right now since no one's attacking me. just a bunch of sectar retards coping. Yeah, pretty much what it is, like a scooter into a tree. No, bro, that was Big Dirty. Tree Master Bob, that was big fucking surfer's friend, Big Dirty. He ran off into a fucking tree and like he died or something. Kitty Styles is the original Sister Fist. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. I've been watching this guy named John. John's kinda funny. Because he's a part of, like, the girl world, or, like, Tragic, and all these people, normie fucks, who, like, weren't a part of the sector or anything. But, they'll never get on panel or in a VC or talk to each other, because they, like, keep certain people out, like John. He's too spriggy, I guess. I don't know, but I mean, he's alright, but I don't know. Maybe they don't think he's cool or something. So anyway, John, like, has these, like, tries to have these positive streams where they really just come off as super passive-aggressive. But, like, they're all passive-aggressive because, like, they won't talk to each other. They'll just do a stream responding to something that they said. Call the girl world people normies is a stretch. Those people are degenerate and nuts. Well, I don't know, most normies are degenerate and nuts. Nah, Keysal said something similar, crashing a bike into a tree. It was like a gay Vespa or something. Oh yeah, see, I have no idea, bro. I just know that he's a sister-fisted John, like John Bolden. Not like John Bolden, but maybe. Maybe. Like, I'll link his, hold on. I'll link his fucking thing. Like, all he's been doing now is, like, watching, like, Kay's cooking and, like, all these horrible cooking fucking streams, and it's just like, why, John? John! Why? But he did do a pretty fun, Phasmophobia, stream with some one of his retarded friends, and, like, he was being, like, super nice to the ghosts and stuff, and I was like, and he's just, like, repeating their name over and over again, and, like, they never found one clue playing it in, like, 3 hours, and it was just funny, man. Alright. This is not the right one. John. Where are you, John? Okay, here he is. I would suggest going through and, like, listening to some of John's unhinged rants. It's just like, this, like, what people say, like, oh my god, these doxing, white nationalist Nazis or whatever, like, yeah, that's all they do, and like, Antifa, and just, like, fucking dox people and cancel people. But, like, that's all these people do. And, like, they're not Nazis or white supremacists or, anything like that. So it's just, like, there's really no difference. Gross grub pig? No, that's not the one I want. I want the welcome to the forum. This one. Listen to this one, because John says that, like, and he never does panels ever, but he's like, you can't come on panel drunk or anything, because we do have kids that watch the channel and stuff. And I'm like, what the heck, John? No way. Why? Why? I think he's a Scientologist or some shit, for real. I think he's like 46 or something, dude. Alright. Watch that one. Welcome to the forum. I'm gonna do a stream for John, like just advice for John.
Second fire tore through their ranks. They fell away.
Advice for John coming
The
soon.
Americans drew their pistols and bolted their horses forward up the street. The Mexican captain was bleeding from a gunshot wound in the chest, and he stood in the stirrups to receive the charge with his saber. Blanton shot him through the head and shoved him from his horse with his foot, and shot down in succession 3 men behind.
Ooh, let's go.
A soldier on the ground had picked up a lance and ran at him with it, and one of the riders leaned down out of that wild melee and cut his throat and passed on.
I thought
done.
I'd be
In the
looking at
morning
your
dampness,
corpse
the
being hauled
sulfur-
up this lift. Load up and I'll engage the gears.
Engage these nuts, bitch. You fucking drunk Mick bastard.
Oh, there she is. What a beautiful weapon. God's own gun. Ain't that the truth? I got us a borrowed flatbed parked down. Meet me at the
God's
bottom
own
of the
gun.
hill.
It's pretty funny. Grab onto the mine cart. Grab onto the mine cart.
Where smoke hung over the street in a gray shroud, and the colorful lancers fell under the horses in that perilous mist, like soldiers slaughtered in a dream, wide-eyed and mute. Some among the rear guard had managed to turn their mounts and start back up the street.
Chill.
The Americans were clouting back with pistol barrels the riderless horses, and the horses surged and milled with the stirrups kicking out, and they trumpeted with their long mouths and trampled underfoot the dead. They beat them back and urged their horses through, then up the street to where it narrowed and turned up the mountain, and they fired into the fleeing lancers as they scattered up the trail in a rack of small stones. Senator Thatcher with 5 men to follow, and he and the judge and Bathcat turned back. They met the rest of the company riding up.
Let's go.
And they turned.
A short wee ride now, and we'll have this executive peacemaker delivered to Old West Dickens.
We're up in the raw here.
Just make sure it doesn't fall off on the way.
Alright, how long have I been going? Hour and 18 minutes. I might go for like another 15 minutes and do like an hour and 30 minutes. Just don't want to go too. Well, I'll finish this chapter. I'll finish this chapter for sure. I just don't want to start no fucking mission. California. Let's go see. Oh look, here's the funny man. Let's go see the funny man. Let's see what the funny man's up to.
And they went down and looted the bodies where they lay in the street like dead bandsmen. And they smashed their muskets against the walls of the houses and broke their swords and lances. As they rode out, they met the 5 scouts returning. The lancers had quit the trail and scattered through the woods. 2 nights later, camped on a butte, looking out over the broad central plain, they could see a point of light out on that desert, like the reflection of a single star in a lake of utter blackness. They took counsel. On the long tablestone, the flames of their bale fire swirled and circled, and they studied the errant blackness under them, where it fell away like the sheer cloven face of the world. "What do you make 'em?" said Blanton. Holden shook his head. "They for Gales. They number no more than 12, 14. They won't send men ahead. How far are we from Chihuahua City? 4 days, 3. Where's Davy? Blanton turned. Chihuahua, David. Brown stood with his back to the fire. He nodded. If that's them, they could be there in 3 days. You reckon we can overhaul them? I don't know. Might depend on whether they figure us to be after them. Blanton turned and spat into the fire. The judge raised one pale and naked arm and pursued something in the pit of it with his fingers.
Damn it.
If we can be off this mountain by daylight, he said, I believe we can overtake them. Otherwise, we'd better make for Sonora. They may be from Sonora. Then we'd better go get them. We can take these scalps to Uris.
It says he's under me.
The fire swept along the ground. It rose again. We'd better go get them, said the judge.
What the hell?
They rode onto the plain at dawn, as the judge had said, and that night they could see the fire of the Mexicans reflected in the sky to the east, beyond the curve of the earth. All the day following their road, and all that
He's
night,
in the fucking
jerking
mine.
and lurching like a deputation of spastics as they slept in their saddles. On the morning of the third day, they could see the riders before them on the plain in silhouette against the sun. In the evening,
I gotta go
they counted their
piss.
numbers struggling upon that desolate mineral waste. When the sun rose, the walls of the city stood pale and thin in the rising light 20 miles to the east. They sat their horses. The lancers were strung out along the road several miles to the south of them. There was no reason for them to stop, and no hope in it any more than there was in the
You're a
riding.
nice lady and all,
But as they were
this ain't
riding,
my
they
thing no more.
rode, and the Americans put their horses forward once again. For a while they rode almost parallel toward the gates of the city, the two parties bloody and ragged, the horses stumbling. Blanton called out to them to surrender, but they rode on. He drew his rifle. They were shambling along the road like dumb things. He pulled up his horse, and it stood with its legs spread and its flanks heaving, and he leveled the rifle and fired. They were, for the most part, no longer even armed. There were 9 of them, and they halted and turned, and then they charged across that intermittent ground of rock and scrub and were shot down in the space of a minute. The horses were caught and herded back to the road, and the saddles and trappings cut away. The bodies of the dead were stripped, and their uniforms and weapons burned, along with the saddles and other gear. And the Americans dug a pit in the road and buried them in a common grave. The naked bodies with their wounds, like the victims of surgical experimentation, lying in the pit, gaping sightlessly at the desert sky as the dirt was pushed over them. They trampled the spot with their horses until it looked much like the road again. And the smoking gunlocks and saber blades and girth rings were dragged from the ashes of the fire and carried away and buried in a separate place.
Funny man.
And the riderless horses hazed off into the desert. And in the evening the wind carried away the ashes, and the wind
Terry
blew
G's
in the night
nuts.
and fanned the last smoldering billets.
Good morning, KT. Good morning, buddy. I was just about to end it. I was about to end it in 7 minutes. Or actually, I'm finishing this chapter, bro. Like, the fucking... They came into this Mexican town and they were, like, celebrated as heroes because they were, like, killing the Indians and shit. And then they, like, get in a bar fight and just, like, kill everyone. And, yeah. I don't even know what the fuck's going on now, honestly.
Drove forth the last fragile race of sparks, fugitive as flint strikings in the unanimous dark of the world. They entered the city
And I
haggard
just don't
and
want to start
filthy,
a new
and
mission.
reeking with the blood of the citizenry for whose protection they had contracted. The scalps of the slain villagers were strung from the windows of the governor's house, and the partisans were paid out of the all but exhausted coffers. And the Sociedad was disbanded, and the bounty rescinded.
Benedict Point. Let's go to
Within
Benedict
a week
Point.
of their quitting the city, there would be a price of 8,000 pesos posted for Glanton's head. They rode out on the North Road, as would parties bound for El Paso. But before they were even quite out of sight of the city, they had turned their tragic mounts to the west, and they rode infatuate and half-fawned toward the red demise of that day, toward the evening lands and the distant pandemonium of the sun. Chapter 14. Mountain Storms.
Alright, there it is, that I did that chapter. So,
there might not be anyone around next time.
let's see what, it's a preview. I've been cooking with my 3D printer. Let's go! Many cool models. That's what's up, dude. That sounds like you're having a good time. Being creative and shit, nigga. Here's a preview of chapter 14.
Infatuate and half-fawned toward the red demise of that day, toward the evening
I went
lands
back too far.
and the distant pandemonium of the sun. Chapter 14. Mountain Storms. Tierras quemadas, tierras despobladas. Jesus Maria.
Jesus Maria.
Shopkeepers. A bodega. The fiddler.
A bodega. Holy shit, that is so crazy because that's what John says that he's a part of. The bodega, but then they kicked him out of the bodega. And, like, but he's all for the bodega. Bodega for life, but he's the form. He's got the form.
The priest. Las Animas. The procession. Tasando las almas. Glanton takes a fit. Dogs for sale. The judge prestidigitant. The flag. A shootout. An exodus. The conducta. Blood and mercury. At the ford. Jackson restored.
At the ford.
The jungle. An herbalist. The judge collects specimens.
What the?
The point of view for his work as a scientist. Ures. The populace. Los pordioseros. A fandango. Pariah dogs.
What the hell's a
Glanton
fandango?
and judge.
Always heard that shit.
All to the north.
Alright, so there's chapter 14. Preview of what's coming up in chapter 14. It's 6 hours long, so I think we still got a lot to cover there. KT, LARPer, I've been printing D&D models for my brother. I also printed some Mimic chests that actually open and a big Samus figure. That was nice of you, KT. Apparently there's a big, it's not related to D&D, but it just reminded me, KT, of, apparently there's a huge, fucking war going on in, fucking Warhammer universe. Not Forge Warhammer, not the Forge, but, like, in, like, Warhammer, Game Shop or Games Workshop, because, like, they're trying to make women, I don't even know, some fucking shit in the game. And I know Warhammer has, like, little figurines, like D&D.
I hope that helps.
Yeah. Game Workshop Satan. Yeah, I saw that. That's going on. That's kind of funny.
That's a tough decision.
I will be doing Shinmu 3 tomorrow. I'm not going to be doing Helldivers with 3-4. I have no idea about Warhammer. Or D&D. I've never played it. I kind of wanted to play D&D, but like Warhammer shit, I was like, nah, fuck all that. There were female Marines before, but they didn't sell, so they discontinued them, then wrote them out. Now they're trying to bring them back. Well, maybe they were more like Asmodeus. I don't know. They're more like D's Medeus. Let's go. But I'm gonna do fucking Shinmu 3 tomorrow night, probably around 10:30, 11 probably. Coyote move. I gotta sell them all individually, like, no.
Any meds, laudanum, adrenaline, or pills, come see me.
Here's the plug. Mephistopheles Fricks.
That's all I got for you this time.
Old Scratch.
And that liver.
Alright, well, I would like to buy, like, a better gun. The only better gun that this nigga has is the volcanic pistol.
Don't we?
And just ammo.
That's a fine deal. The marshal ain't
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea about the fucking Warhammer lore shit or anything there, LARPer.
That's all I need for now.
I would be LARPing if I was starting to try and, like, act like I know what the fuck I'm talking about with that shit, because I do not. You should buy these nuts. Like, I know more about fucking Lord of the Rings and Tolkien and shit like that than I know about fucking, Warhammer. I mean, we have our own Warhammer lore that's a lot better. Volcanic pistols are very anemic, weak guns. I know about the female Marines because I researched it to annoy someone. Okay, I got you. Well, we're gonna get some of these horse pills right here. This is the guy that talks about Jews. It's literally the only thing I know about Warhammer Long. Well, you know that there's only one Warhammer, and the Warhammer is at the Fort Buckland. Let's go, Hobby Gang 1! I'm probably gonna end it there because it's an even number. Hour 32. That's not bad. I can go up. Yeah, that's not bad. That's good. No need to overdo it. The Undertaker. The Undertaker came back at WrestleMania 40. How about that? He chokeslammed The Rock. It's not gay. I know a lot of Warhammer lore, and I also know absolutely none. No one wants female Marines. What is this blue dot over here? What's going on over here? Hello. Yeah, because from now on, all games will feature a strong women's of color. Oh, bro, they're making another, Predator. Like, I don't know if you saw the last Predator, which was like Predator, Prey, with the Indian girl. It was gay, dude. It was awful. You know? And, they're making another Predator coming out called, Badlands. Just Badlands is the name of the fucking, the name of the fucking movie is Badlands. Prey was alright. It was alright, but, I mean, it's just like, okay, like, this movie and all the suspense and all the shit that it started on was from, like, a dude, a strong male lead, literally, physically strong male lead, fighting, believably, you could think, okay, maybe this fucking roided out fucking super soldier, dude might have a chance against a fucking alien who, like, is like 8 foot tall. You know? Spit in the eye of Games Workshop. I spit in your general direction. Games Workshop. The LARPer, they retcon their shit all the time. And, like that's kind of what, like, fucking Amazon did with the fucking Rings of Power shit. It was just bad. You know, strong female leads, no more male leads, male's bad. Especially white males, very bad. Oh, I'll make you famous. Pure marketing decision, but the way that it's stored makes it difficult and dumb to bring back. Where y'all niggas going? That nigga is just busting right down the road. Alright. Do you use the Amazon seething box ghost? Do you use the Amazon seething box ghost? Looks like a sewer slide machine. Hold on. Wait, what? Do you use the Amazon seething box? Bro, I have no idea. I'm gonna say I've shipped one. I'll tell you that. I probably shipped one. This nigga is still on the ground. Alright. Next time it will be Red Dead Redemption 2 with fucking Blood Mirnidian. It's been, what is today? Thursday? No, Wednesday, right? Today's Wednesday. So, it's been Wild West Wednesday. Let's go! Don't you have a booth for your mental health thing when you're at work? No, bro. Who said that? Is that some Amazonian propaganda? There's no break from mental health. Even at work. Jeff Bezos don't care. Jeff Bezos gonna work you like a dog, pal. It's Tuesday, okay? Oh, it's Tumbleweed Tuesday, let's go! See, Jeff Bezos has my days all fucked up. It might just not be in your warehouse. Maybe. Maybe not. But we're the biggest warehouse, KT, in fucking located in Texas. So, if we don't have one, it's a lie. It's a damn lie. Alright. Dying. It's been a fucking Tumbleweed Tuesday. And we did go to Tumbleweed. We did go to Tumbleweed earlier.
What in hell? What the? I guess I'm having no pleasant day too.
It's done. Dead. I just felt like shooting a man. KT said, it's real! It's real! Or is it? Or is it, pal? Glad. Caught a bit of it. Thanks for coming by. Good morning to everybody. You seem in good spirits. Oh yeah, bro. With, trying to be more positive and shit, bro. And with chats like y'all's, who can't not be positive? You know what, nigga? Alright. I might as well just wait another minute, and then it'll be like an hour and 40 minutes, and that's a good number to end on. That's some good digits, It's not about the content, it's about the digits, bro. It's just about hitting the digits. Look at this fucking bed. What a disaster. But yeah, Shaggy talked to fucking Kitty Styles for like 2 hours trying to convert him to Mormonism. And he's gay. The digital age, the age of cage. Let's go! Forge gang, booklet, let's go! I'm still a hard man, let's go!